When I was younger, I was always interrupting people. Whenever people started to talk, by the middle of their sentence, I always had to interject my opinion. I had to let them know what I was thinking. I always had to do this. And what happened was, in my social life, I found a lot of trouble. I thought that people didn't like me. I thought that it was all their fault, that they just didn't like me for any reason, that I didn't do anything, that I was this victim. But in reality, I was the person who was causing all of this. I was the person who never let them feel heard. And there were times when, my friends were playing video games and I would play video games sometimes with them too. And I would always tell them, hey, let me know when you're gonna get on the game. And I remember I would get on the game just to practice right before we actually start playing. And they would already be playing together. I would see them both in the same lobby. And it would always hurt me because I know that they could have called me. I know that they could have told me, but they didn't. Inside them, they didn't really want to spend that time with me. And back then, as I said before, I thought I was this victim. I thought that I was just the guy who was persecuted for no reason. But it's only now that I realize I never allowed other people to genuinely want to be around me. I never realized that instead of just interjecting my opinion, instead of telling them what they don't care about, I should have been somewhat like a therapist, someone to validate what they want to say, someone to actually hear them in a world where nobody gets heard. This is the skill of deep listening, allowing others to be able to feel heard. A lot of people are going to hear that sentence and are going to ask me, what are the tactics I can use to make other people feel like they're being heard? And there's one thing I can say to that. I bet you there are a bunch of tactics that you can use, and I can tell them to you, but they really won't be effective unless you are interested in them. Because I'm going to be honest, most of your communication is through your nonverbal cues. Nonverbal cues means the body language that you have, the way that you inflect your voice, the micro expressions in your face. And to really show that you are listening to other people, you need to show that through your nonverbal cues. And you can't really control them all. You can't. And so the best advice that I can give to you is to actually be interested in other people. And I know it sounds so simple, but many people don't even do this. They always want something else from them. Don't think about what you want. Simply imagine that you are making their day better. So when you're speaking to them, try not to have any thoughts in your brain. Don't try to have an opinion. Don't try to interrupt them. When they're speaking, you listen. Because other people are like strange new countries. They're like countries that you've never discovered before. In your world, you don't really find too much surprising. And in their world, they don't really find too much surprising. But when you listen to their world, you'll find that they see things in a different way from you. And it is a beautiful feeling to find that something that you thought was mundane actually surprises you. And you get that by listening to people. Realize that they are different from you and they have something to share with you. They have a gem inside their mind that is beautiful that you do not have. When they're talking and you interrupt them, you destroy the sense of confidence that they have in what they're saying. They feel like you are trying to be better than them, and that's not what you ever want to do. Always let them feel superior. Always let them feel like they are controlling the situation. When you're talking and they interrupt you, don't try to interrupt them back. Just let them keep talking. Eventually, they're going to stop. And when they stop, you just continue. If they interrupt you again, just stop again. Always be this person who's constantly just listening, right? Because that's the goal. The goal is to make them like you. The goal is not to be right about this one thing. The goal is not to have your opinion validated. The goal is to get them to like you. And if you want to do that, you have to be someone that hears them. A tip that I can give you is to try to listen to absolutely everyone. I know most of us don't like to listen to people we find annoying, people we find foolish or dumb, but you'll find that when you actually listen to people like this, you're studying psychology basically. You're analyzing how their brain works, and for all people, the same rule I said before applies. There is a gem inside their mind that you do not have. And I always thought that quiet people have just boring lives. But in reality, it's the fact that in their own mind, they have so much chaos and interesting things going on that they don't need to express it in the outside world. The reason why they're quiet is not because they have a mundane life. The reason they're quiet is because their brain is firing much more than yours. So if you want to actually be a master of psychology in this way, you gotta be able to open quiet people up, because they will have so many gems to share with you, and your whole life will change. Quiet people have something to give you, I promise. Another thing to keep in mind is that you don't want to make it an interview. You don't want to make it like you're asking them a question and they respond. You're asking a question and they respond. Try to look at their nonverbal cues. Try to see what activates them, what lights their eyes up, what makes them feel excited, what makes them stand a little bit taller. And then you want to elaborate on that. Don't try to ask, a bunch of questions. Actually be a human and try to see what they are interested in. That's the whole point. I could give you a tactic and say, ask these 3 questions, and it would get you nowhere. You have to actually be interested in other people. See what interests them. And a final tip that I would give to you for helping them understand that you are really listening to them is to hold the eye contact. Hold your eye contact and genuinely just nod a little bit, right? I can't tell you to nod every 3 seconds, but if you're actually listening to them, you should have an inclination to nod a couple times, right? And just hold your eye contact. Don't hold it too much for the point that you're staring at them, but just try to hold your eye contact and really watch them, because that's what you're doing. You're trying to listen to them, and you're trying to understand their situations and their environments and their world. That's what you're trying to do. So hold that eye contact and show them really that you are listening. If you do these things, I really think that you can become a master of deep listening. I think that you can become someone so proficient at this skill that you will seem to attract almost everybody. You'll seem like a therapist that everybody wants to talk to. And that is a beautiful feeling, to know that you are making other people feel heard and validated. When I was younger, I didn't really have the confidence to sit there and hold eye contact. Honestly, I wanted to interject my opinion a lot, because I felt like if I didn't, then it would be destroyed. Like, I felt like I had to interject it because I didn't have the confidence to allow my opinions to be, invalidated. And to develop that kind of confidence that you need to not interrupt other people and just listen, you need to also develop your personal confidence. The way that I did that was by working out. I built a body that I was proud of. And right now I'm developing a coaching program so that I can show you the exact steps that I did. I'll show you every single step of the way. I'll be there, I'll hold your hand, and I'll get you the results that you want. And I never used a gym. I never used a conventional gym. I only used 2 pieces of equipment called gymnastic rings that you can use from anywhere. I used it from my own home, and I got some insane results. So if you're interested in that, check the links below. And with that, I hope you got something from this video, and I hope you go out and conquer.